Friday, December 15th. Now, yesterday I was talking about my grandfather's snowshoes. Here's one of them right here. Very old style of shoe, and talked about how my dad was with him when my grandfather punched a hole in the gut webbing cord of the snowshoe, and he brought it to a Ramapo basket weaver. The fellow that weaves baskets had a black ash splints and got it repaired there. And that's not unusual, because even though snowshoes have been with humanity for the better part of a few thousand years, our great North American tribes developed and perfected different styles of snowshoes, and according to their regions, according to the areas that they were in and how much snow they had. Like, for example, the Inuit people, the great northern Inuit people of the Arctic region, the folks that we call the classic Eskimo. They had snowshoes, but they were small ones. They were circular or triangular, easy to put into their backpack, because mostly the Inuits were pack ice hunters or tundra hunters where there wasn't a lot of snow. So mostly they didn't wear them. Now, a little further south of there were the Cree. And the Cree were great trappers. They were always in the wilderness, foraging around, and they developed a shoe like this one. It's a very long shoe. It has a curled toe for working into the snow, and also it's called a long tail because it has not curved on the end, it comes down to a point. The splints come right down together like this. And this was the kind of shoe that they used. The Athabascan people also used a long shoe, but theirs were even longer still. They could be as much as 6 foot. This shoe is not quite 4 foot. But imagine a 6-foot snowshoe, and that was to keep up with the dog sleds. They could run right alongside the dog sleds. And the Ojibwa were folks who developed a shoe that was smaller and pointed at both ends. And that was for maneuverability. The Iroquois did that too. They had a smaller, slightly wider shoe that was pointed at both ends so they could get around deep in their forests. And of course the Huron, they had developed a shoe, a long tail like this one I just showed you, but it was wider. It was the widest of all the shoes in North America, and that was to get over heavy, deep powder snow with a lot of weight. They could carry as much as 100 pounds with their shoes and not sink into the snow. And then, of course, there is the classic curved at both ends, similar to the shoes that I wore a lot when I was a trapper. And these shoes were developed by the tribes in Quebec and Labrador, where there was always a lot of snow. You needed to get around. There was an undulating forest with a lot of curves and so forth, so these were good shoes for that area. Now, Walt told me a story about a hunter he heard about in the Catskills who was wearing long tails. That's these shoes, remember, the ones that are really, really long. And he wasn't paying attention, and he came down off of powder snow onto hard-crusted snow, and he came down to a slope, and before he knew it, he was skiing because he was on top of ice, and slammed right into a tree. And I thought, oh my God, I was 10 years old when he told me that. I thought, how can anybody be that dumb? How can anybody be that stupid? And 6 years later, when I was hunting with Walt and his friends in the Adirondack Mountains, the exact same thing happened to me. I was in a pair of long tails. I was coming down a slope. I came off of powder snow into crust. I was skiing, slammed right into a tree. So when I was a teenager, I learned it's actually quite easy to be stupid. Well, we'll do another one tomorrow. See you then.